the podcast. I am one of three hosts. I am Karan Ashley. We are already laughing. We are already giggling. We got to get you guys into our party. Hilton George, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm so glad that the audience is here now because I was under assault, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. and Mrs. America, these two young ladies,
the pre-show.
they was all in my credit score trying to find out my last four digits of my social.
Yes.
It was like, this is the clock saved me, so I'm so happy to be on the clock and on the show. Now we can talk about other stuff.
We just got a list of women that we want to introduce you to. He's like, no, thank you.
This is women-proof environment here. This is,
they love that.
Yes. Let me show you my katana collection.
Geek is
girl.
chic.
Where you going? Come back.
A good woman loves a good samurai sword. Listen.
Yes, she does. Yes. Speaking of Christi Renee, a good woman. Christi Renee, how are you doing today?
I am lovely. Y'all tried to clown me on my little mic that I am not. It's rose gold. She is cute, honey. So I'm holding her today for this show until I get tired when I have to pick up my bowl of popcorn and eat. But y'all finna get this little bitty microphone. I am happy. I am happy to be here. Yes, we have such great stuff to talk about. I'm excited about the movie we're gonna review later.
Yes.
So
yes. Man, it has been a fantastic week. I am so glad we're together. I'm telling you, every time we do a show, it seems like the week is so long because I can't talk to you guys, and so many things happen in that week. It's been crazy.
Yes.
Well, this week we saw the first Black woman be announced as a potential Supreme Court nominee. I am through the roof proud, through the roof excited. How does it make you guys feel? Because I mean, it's like we're getting these small milestones, and this is, for me, this is huge. It's overdue.
Yeah, it's exciting. I actually am, like, I'm addicted to watching the kind of the boring things like the confirmation hearing. It's fascinating. I, of course, get irritated. I'm going to yell at the TV. I woke up yelling at the TV. I almost got started on my task a little too late, but I'm intrigued by how cool and calm and under control and under the pressure you have to be to do all of that, and just that wealth of knowledge, and then just the process that they have to be prepped for all these different topics that are going to come up. And again, she has to be ready to. I mean, she a black woman now.
Yeah,
this ain't no
Brown Jackson. I didn't say her name. I apologize for that.
I know there's probably 27 gifs and memes already just like floating on these internets. Beyonce's internet, child, because she has some of the expressions a little bit that you just can't. You can't avoid these expressions.
I think Black women are ready for the big stage. We've always been tested. Absolutely. We've always been tried. We've always been the underdog, and so. Anything these senators that are throwing at her, I know for a fact she's like, get off of me. I'm born for this. I am born for this. So Ketanji Brown Jackson, we are so excited. Hilton, what were your thoughts?
Well, just like you said, I think that as a Black woman in America, she is probably not going to be surprised by anything that comes left, across that microphone to her. She has probably heard and fended off arguments and discussions before. I am encouraged, though, politically. I think the Republicans have decided that they don't want to die on this hill. That, they know that the Democrats have with just Democrats that she can get confirmed. Yeah. So there really isn't a whole lot of reason for them to go all out trying to, say something crazy or further portray themselves as old racist white men and the party for old racist white men.
Yeah.
So I think they're probably gonna just let her have this, let Biden have this one, and try to fight on some other front, focus on midterms and that sort of thing.
Right.
So I think they're gonna try and do a little bit of a nod to their base, or a little bit of red.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna go all the way.
Yeah.
Tell you, I got my caps lock right here. I've got my, I'm ready to get my carpal tunnel on. Everybody's ready to hit Twitter and light anybody up that goes in the
like,
wrong
don't come
direction.
from our, don't come for our girl. Don't come for her.
No.
It's just so long overdue. It's just so long overdue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I commend Biden for doing it. I don't, I think that this is something he promised. I think, at certain key points, he has been very explicit about his recognition of the Black community, having put him over the top, in this election. And, I think despite the fact that there's only so much he can do legislatively and so many fights that he can push, this was something that he explicitly promised. And I think he's happy to fulfill it. And I think we should celebrate it because she's going to get nominated. It's just a matter of how far down the road these hearings go.
Yeah, she will be nominated. And like you said, she will be confirmed. It's not going to tip the scale as far as, turning our Supreme Court into a more liberal or more, because right now it's a very conservative seat. Oh, yes. What?
You know that Clarence Thomas, he got the sniffles.
Oh, I know.
And I'm sitting there like,
oh boy.
I'm wondering, I'm sitting there like, Rona, not Rona. Like,
right.
Holla at your boy,
The sad part is they would never admit it. If it really was, I think they would never admit if he had coronavirus, but he's in the hospital and but this is the thing. A lot of those men, they're old, it's like the Supreme Court seat. It's a lifetime seat. So unless, something horrific happens, they rarely step down. They stay there until they die. So that right there would be where you would see the ugly come out, because then we have an opportunity to get someone, we would tip the scale as far as it not being so conservative. It would be a more liberated Supreme Court, and it would reflect what this country is. Yeah. And I always felt like that's what it needs to be. I feel like that position also, it should not be a lifetime position. I think that is outdated. I think even if you said they could be on there for 16 years or something, 20 years, but it should not be a lifetime seat, because man, times change. Yeah. And you see where we are right now. We need a Supreme Court that's going to reflect a balanced judicial system, reflect everyone.
It's progressive, moving forward.
And he said, because things are different, know?
Very.
They got good health care up at that level of the government. Man, listen.
You know what I'm saying?
They ain't got to pay no deductibles. They ain't got no co-pays. They ain't got no minimums.
And see, the thing is, and even when they're not in those seats, and that's for all politics, that goes on forever. So whether you're sitting in your seat or not, when you retire or your term is up or whatever, but you have that benefit forever. So let's be realistic and limit that time. I mean, 20 years is even great. It's a long time.
That's a long time too. Yeah.
Because imagine 20 years ago, like we can see, the progression or the changes in the world around us, and even in ourselves. But sometimes I think you're right. I think you're spot on. It needs to be cut shorter than a lifetime. Yeah. Having somebody there for 45, 50 years is incredibly bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I say we move it to 35 minutes. Let's just, everybody be a good.
Sir, we are not doing these confirmation hearings every 35 minutes.
Everybody get a try.
This stuff is
they'll turn this into like a Marvel miniseries if we had them every 35 minutes. No. Like we'd be like, oh my gosh.
No.
It's crazy. Yeah. Well, you know what? Ketanji Brown Jackson, we are so proud.
We're reading.
Yes. I'm super excited. So if you were just watch it. I always encourage people, even if you're not political, this is not, I always say, people throw that word out like I'm not political, but
which is crazy.
This is about your life.
Gotta be.
This is about the laws that run the land. These are things that are major. These are, bills and laws that are put in place that will affect your life. So it's not about being political. It's about being responsible.
Yeah.
So I encourage you
to say that. It's lazy. Yeah. That's a lazy.
It's about adulting. You adult. You vote. You need to be. You can't ever complain about gas prices. You can't complain about, things that cost you money. You can't complain. I was just complaining about airline tickets. Like the laws that we have, there could be, if we had the right people in place, they could put sanctions on these things so that airlines, they're not gouging us. Like we're currently in
groceries.
Going to make
groceries is giving me absolute depression and anxiety.
They are making money, like, and they want to blame. You always want to blame a president, but it's not even the president doesn't set those prices. It's because there's no.
I'm going to throw a flag on the play because
throw a flag.
My sister just said on the radio, make groceries. Listen, and I thought that was a Southern thing that we only had over here.
Yes.
And I heard it. Look, America, I know you may, or some of y'all heard make groceries. Some of y'all was like,
I heard it.
She said make groceries. And that is what I tell when I'm out there. I'm about to go make groceries. They like, make what? What you doing? I'm going to the store.
Got to make it happen.
It's not a grocery until I make it a grocery by paying for it. So technically, you know. So
yeah. Oh my gosh.
There it is.
The old school talking. So the other thing, guys, we had homework this week. We had homework. Well, you want another update? We'll go for another update before we go to our homework.
Yeah.
Okay, the update. Last week we were talking about the Kim and Kanye situation. And we dove into mental health. We jumped into the different forms of abuse, because this is like, an abusive divorce that we are watching unfold. And this week, I mean, we saw he went off the ledge again. He's attacking anyone who basically goes against him, or anyone. It's very reminiscent of that guy who was president a few years ago. Anyone who speaks against him, he attacks, and he attacked Trevor Noah, called him all out of his name. And I felt Trevor Noah handled that beautifully. Brilliant. Like, he just was not, and that's the thing. I don't understand why Kanye thinks he can take these comedians on.
I mean,
these men, they are here for a reason. I was like,
they all say, I got time today.
Boys in the studio. Yeah, Trevor was like, I got time for you today.
Let's go.
But Trevor brought up something really important that I thought. He obviously, he called him a racial slur. And Trevor said, on one of the things that he said back to Kanye, he said, you know what slave owners used to do to us? They used to basically get us to turn against each other. And he's like, brother, don't fall for it. Basically, I summarized what he said.
Right.
And I thought that brought up a really good point, because that is so true. Like, we've allowed people to divide us as a people. We've allowed this stuff, and we're seeing it. Well, okay, I'm going to go to you, Christi. I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about all the things that unfolded this week with Trevor Noah, him getting kicked off the Grammys, all of it?
Well, first, I mean, the Grammys, they get it wrong for me every
year.
So I don't really care.
That's another conversation.
That's a whole other. That's a
the
whole other
Grammys
show.
Are very political. Yeah.
So anyway, I digress on that. But there are a couple of things. So, I mean, again, kudos to Trevor. He just, again, you're right. These comedians, they have such I think we underestimate them and how learned,
their intelligence. Yeah.
Yes, they are academics. Those make some of the best comedians when you're an academic and you
politically savvy.
Yes, sound in the world around you, and again, and even from a scholarly point of view. So yeah, Kanye tried it. He did not win. I also want to say that, there's a thing before I say my last piece, because my last piece kind of made me chuckle a bit. But the part that you're saying about how we get torn apart, and it was by design to, from in history, when Black people were enslaved people, and that to create that division, that's how they would, if you have division, nobody succeeds, right? Nobody really makes it. So that's part of the DNA. It's part of the plan. It's part of the design. It's been set up that way. But I'm going to also say this to that. While that is true, all skin folk ain't kin folk. And I also, I've always said that, like, everybody is not on the same side. Some people either were born separate and apart, that had, similar skin tones. And then some people literally drift like into the sunken place, which is where I believe, that's where Kanye resides. And I will also say this. So he is gone. Like, he has no concept of his Blackness and the culture. and the history and the traditions and all of the things that make our Blackness so phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that's out the window. Now, I'm going to say this too. This is my last little chuckle, which is what I sent you last week.
I was going to say, she got lots of points, don't she?
I'm done. I'm done. Because I'm going to let Hilton piggyback on this. I thought I lost my whole everything when I woke up to see how Pete Davidson had responded. Because remember, we were talking last week about how Pete was on the up and up. He was like, I'm maintaining my cool. Dude, take your medicine. I understand. I had to do it. Listen, Pete said,
I'm in bed with your wife.
Peace was about them shits, like, honey. Yeah. Look, last few days, and Kanye got banned on Instagram. He was silenced.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, he's on that track. He, oh boy, the Cheeto, he was his buddy, and he thinks he's one of those. If you ever go back and look at like old movies and old rap songs and all of that, like we thought the Trump way was like the way of life. We glorified that crap until we effed around and found out how crazy it is. But Kanye's still stuck in that. So it's like you're just doing the same things. I mean, this fool was banned, but he's got other, ways of doing shit. I don't know. Shout out to Pete though. Shout out to Pete.
I will say this. Trevor Noah brought up a really it wasn't even Trevor Noah. It was because he had also DL had talked about him, and he was saying how DL couldn't dress, and DL his family don't even love him. Yeah, he was giving out his address. I mean, it's craziness, and he was banned because he was harassing people and because he used racial slurs, and they had to do something. But I loved what DL said, where he basically said, he goes, if anyone has been used as he goes, we're all used when you're an entertainer, we're all used as kind of the political people will roll through and they will want to see us, and they will want to, come on our shows, and they're going to want to promote their campaign when it's election time. He goes, but we were all used. He goes, but the person who was really used was Kanye. I mean, if you think about it, the GOP underwrote his campaign, secretly underwrote his campaign. He said, they, basically we're like, we're putting you in here so that you will take away the Black vote from Biden. Like, that was the intention. That is what they were doing. So he goes, you can't call me a political pawn when you are truly the definition of a political pawn. And I mean, we saw him when he went to the White House. He was practically kissing the ring when he was like, "Oh, you're an amazing man." I mean, it was insane to see how he acted around Trump. So it's like, if you want to talk political pawns, I mean, it's like, come on, dude. Like, but he said all he's doing is, he's just deflecting on everything he accuses people of doing. He's doing, again, very reminiscent of how Trump operates. He's just copying the playbook. But Hilton, jump in here.
Well, I mean, this I said this last time, and this is still the truth. When you have megalomania, where somebody is just their ego is just completely out of control, and you combine that with just money and power and access and fame, and you have mental illness that is untreated, right? Yeah. And you are surrounded by sycophantic people who are not pulling you away. Every regular person out there has people that hang with them that if you get a little too rowdy at the bar, will pull you off the bar. Like, it's time to go. Like,
you gotta have a wingman.
You're about to get beat up. This dude's about to clown you. He's about to get you. And he has nobody like that in his life. Kim was at one point that person. She worked behind the scenes. But now that she's gone, you can really see him spinning off the rails. Yeah. And so, when it comes to Kanye, I don't think much of this has anything to do with the specifics of what he's saying. I think he is lashing out. I think that he is going through waves of mania and depression. I think that he is just completely, he has no boundaries. He has no controls. And it's just a matter of time before this starts to affect his money and his career. Because you can only go so crazy.
Yes.
You know, you'd only go so crazy before, you know, something, you know, America goes, okay, this was fun, but now it's not fun no more.
Yeah.
And you're now becoming the poster boy for that crazy ex-boyfriend that every other person out here knows that is abusive and manipulative and all of those things. So he's on really, really shaky ground. And if somebody doesn't swoop in, either a person or a circumstance to kind of pump the brakes on the brother, you know, I mean, him getting clowned by comedians, that's all entertaining. That's great TV for us.
That's good for us to talk about.
Him hiding in the bushes outside Kim's mansion.
That's
the kind of stuff that's going to get you in jail.
That's and maybe that's what he needs. I think that's what he needs.
Kanye is not a thug. Kanye ain't smoking nobody. He's not that dude. And so if he ends up putting himself in that lane and lets crazy put him in that lane, he gonna sober up real quick.
Yeah,
a punch in the nose will hit the pause button on anything you got going on.
Yeah,
and I worry that that's where he's heading, and I hope this is something that will be part of the stopping, because I really don't want to see the brother go down in flames, but he burn himself up. So
right.
Well, you know, the sad part is it's already starting, because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I know the Grammys isn't, you know, it's a very political stage, but he was nominated for 5 awards, and usually that Grammy performance does boost streams, record sales. I mean, you have this amazing performance, and all of a sudden you have these concert tours that are announced, and there's a huge a list of people who are campaigning to get him off of headlining Coachella. I mean, there are a lot of things that are happening right now. So I think that,
and that's that pain.
It's already
that Hilton's talking about. That's it.
It's already starting. And his pockets, and the sad part is, you know, he's a billionaire. So hitting his pockets on a couple of things, it's not going to sting him immediately. It's going to take it's very hard for someone who has a mental health issue, has, you know, an addiction, or it's hard for them to hit rock bottom when you have so much money. And like you said, Hilton has nothing but yes people around him, because anyone who was a real friend or a real business partner would say, dude, get it together.
I'm sitting on your ass.
Where's Coogee? Did the video documentary, Coogee, the cameraman?
I know. You know what though? I think he wouldn't have a strong enough voice. I think right now, unfortunately, like, you know, Virgil, who was the head of Louis Vuitton, he died recently and was one of his best friends. And I think, you know, certain people around him who probably would have had an influential voice on him, they're just no longer here, or they just don't want anything to do with them. You know, you think about Jay-Z and them don't want anything to do with them.
That's exhausting.
I think this has been going on behind the scenes for years with his friendships. And I mean, he's turned on at least 20 people that we know of, you know? So I think people are just like, let him burn, you know? And that's the sad part. It's sad to see someone who, no matter what he's done, you always give him props for being immensely talented, being a musical genius. But yeah, man, this is bad. But on a better note, we had homework this week, and this was a suggestion from Hilton.
Yes, for the win.
The award. You get the win. Where's the award? Hold on.
You get
the teddy bear award. The Boogie with the Bear of the week goes to Hilton George because he suggested that we watch The Adam Project. He suggested that be the thing that we talk about this week. Oh my gosh, guys. I loved this movie from start to end. I highly recommend you, if you have a child, if you have a family, if it's just you and you want something to watch, I highly recommend this movie. It stars Ryan Reynolds. And we love Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on, Deadpool. I mean, he's got a laundry list of movies and things. I've been a Ryan Reynolds fan for at least 10 years now. But this movie has such heart. I mean, it really, we're going to take a deep dive. So if you haven't seen it, this is your chance to log off. This is your chance.
Hit pause.
Hit pause. And the rest watch of you. Come back and watch us after.
Get your popcorn, the rest of you.
This movie is so good. It deals with Adam, who is a man. We find him in the future. you find that he's under attack and there's these things that are happening in the future. And he accidentally goes back to 2022 and finds his 12-year-old self, and he's wounded and he has to connect with his 12-year-old self. And you find out that his father, who passed away a few years prior, had invented time travel, and his technology had been taken from him by his old partner. And she's basically exploiting it at this point. She's exploiting time travel. She's doing things that she's basically destroying the world because she has too much power. And so Adam has showed up to do two things. He showed up to find his wife, who she murdered. And he's also there to potentially destroy time travel so that things can, this woman won't have the kind of power that she has. But in the meantime, he meets his 12-year-old self, and he has to face his life. Because this man, he is a troubled man. He's someone who has never dealt with the grief of losing his father.
Right.
He is just spinning, and he meets his 12-year-old self, and him and his 12-year-old self realize they got a lot of healing to do. But it is amazing. It was a beautiful story about grief, about your relationship with your parents. She can't stop eating the popcorn. She had to pop out she had to bring out the popcorn. It is that good. Now, because it was Hilton's suggestion, Hilton, I'm going to turn the mic over to you, because, man, this is a good one. This is literally something I'm going to watch this movie like 5-10 times. As soon as it's on the airplane, this is one of my airplane movies. Like this, Black Panther. Yeah. I've got 5 airplane movies that I watch over and over again. So, Hilton, tell me.
Go.
Why did you suggest this? We can't hear you.
You muted.
You muted yourself. What is going on?
I don't know, right?
That was your moment.
Clearing my throat, and I thought I hit the button back. My bad.
You missed your turn.
Yes.
That's my cue.
Yes.
But no, this movie is the movie you want to watch over and over again, because it's funny. It's got a meaningful story. The character development is there. It's got emotion. It's got heart. And it's got a new actor. His name is Walker Scoble. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's playing
Adam.
the young Ryan Reynolds. And you'll see that something amazing happens in this movie that you don't really see in a Ryan Reynolds movie. Not in Deadpool, Van Wilder, or any of these. Is someone who is going literally toe to toe with the one-liners and the jokes and the ribs and the gut punches. He and his 12-year-old self are just going at it through this whole movie because they're the same person. And so you're not seeing like some 12-year-old kid who's just kind of like, oh, I'm back in the shadows, and here comes this adult who's going to be this super personality.
Take over. It's like
the kid takes over the screen from the minute he shows up. And it's like from the moment where he's getting bullied to, the times he's trying to ask questions of his mom or trying to understand the situation, he is, and he is just like impervious to all the insults. He's impervious to the punches from the bullies. And so I love watching this kid in general. But then once Ryan Reynolds ends up in these are the two Adams, hence the Adam Project, watching these two go, one off of each other is just amazing. Another thing I want people to notice is that there's a whole lot of superhero actors in this movie who are also producers and directors and co-producers and executive producers of this. And so it's really interesting when these guys get together. We're talking about Mark Ruffalo, who plays, Bruce Banner in the Avengers movies. Jennifer Garner, you may remember from way back when she played the original Elektra before the TV show in the first Daredevil movie. Zoe Saldana is there. Zoe is in this movie, and you may know her as Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. So, you really are getting an opportunity to see these folks who helped put this together. So they're not didn't just get booked. They helped write the script and everything, and they all had a hand in it.
It's beautiful.
It is amazing. And it's heavy, but it's light. This is a movie, and I'm going to say this. This is a movie that when I watched it, I said, this could have come out in the theater during a normal era, outside of the COVID era. This would have done well in the box office, but it's on Netflix. And so you get it in all one big chunk, and this is a new platform, and it's all the media is evolving. So that's great. But this one is one that was good enough. And you're like, this was good enough for the theaters. You know, sometimes you watch something on Prime or on Netflix or, you know, the streaming services.
No, this was a theater movie.
Oh, I see why this was on streaming. I don't know if I would have liked this if I'd paid $30 and da. This one, if totally you paid $30, you see Christy, she's eating the popcorn talking about it.
I'm about to explode.
But right? You know what? It was such a beauty. And you're right. Like that Walker, he was in every scene he was in. He was in there with a heavyweight and he handled it. Like he was the best actor. But Christy, I won't let you explode anymore. Tell me what you thought, because she was so happy. She was so happy with this assignment. Usually she's like, girl, why y'all got me watching this? We have to fight her. And she was like, this was your reaction. I don't know whether I cried or I laughed. That is exactly how I was. Last night I was just like, I love this movie so much.
I cannot say. First of all, you didn't have to twist my arm, because I had already watched all the workups, getting, in previews and all that good stuff, interviews. But I love. I have to be careful. I can't say it too many times. But when I tell you I love me some Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, no, I do too, girl.
Like, I'm a diehard.
He's one of my faves.
I am a diehard. No matter what role he's in, he is just one of those. And here's the thing. Somebody got really smart. And I don't know if it's because I know he writes and directs a lot of the stuff, especially as of late. Like, he is in full creative control, apparently.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, and we've talked about Deadpool and just the writing style. His formula is just pure brilliance. It's like they just let him go. He's those people, they just let him just go, just do it.
So good. He's a good comedian.
Setup, and then just go. Well, I cannot praise this kid enough. Let me tell y'all. Little Walker, I was like, oh Lord, what am I going to do? Because now I have a future. Now we can continue the Ryan Reynolds tradition, a new era. I got so excited. First of all, let me talk about how Zoe Saldana slid into this dang scene.
Oh,
she was like,
amazing.
The way she came in like a powerhouse, like y'all, you've seen the scene, of course, spoiler alert, we can't say it enough. But the scene that she shows up in and the way she shows up, like, who sits up I'm watching it at 10:30 a.m. this morning because I'm like, time constraint was my only thing last night. I was exhausted. Okay. However, I'm like, Gamora! Like, okay, I'm watching with my headphones on my laptop. Folks are still asleep. And I'm losing it.
Woke up the house.
I love that. It's the kid when he talks about he says, is this the multiverse? and he's annoying the crap out of Ryan Reynolds, Big Adam.
And then Big Adam annoys everybody else too. He's like, it's totally perfect.
The chemistry, it's just the chemistry, just all of the references. Now, let me tell y'all something, how crazy I am, what I love. At first, let me talk about Catherine Keener. Crazy mama from Get Out. I loved her. I love her in her roles. And of course, I'm always connecting the dots and making people. So let me tell y'all a classic Ryan Reynolds move. His signature move is when lines from or names or references to other movies that are his come up, and I lose my crap. When that little boy had that lightsaber and he hit the ground and said, superhero landing.
Landing.
I lost it. I was like, did this boy just say, did they write that shit in the script? Like, it's just brilliant. Like, I'm literally
But see, what was so great about that scene for me was that a lesser director, a lesser scriptwriter would have given this kid. Yep, they would have given this kid a moment where he was kicking butt or something like that. He did all that badass move to get up there.
and got knocked out.
He was like, no, don't do it. And he like,
oh my God.
You're 12.
We have to give props to Sean Levy. And if you don't know who Sean Levy is a director, and he's been a big he partnered with the Duffel Brothers, and he's been around. He's a big reason Stranger Things is a huge hit. Like the Duffel Brothers created the show, and Sean Levy is one of the directors, one of the main directors, producing contributors, and he is amazing with children. he has a way of finding these kids and getting these kids to perform and to do things. And so it didn't surprise me when I saw Walker be so amazing, because I'm like, he has a track record for this. He knows how to direct young adults, and he knows how to bring the best out of them. And that was one of my favorite scenes, because they kept it real. Like, it was like this 12-year-old kid sees himself. Like, imagine if you saw yourself and you're like this badass kind of almost superhero-ish kind of guy. But the 12-year-old version of you was the kid that got bullied, was the awkward kid, was because he was an undersized 12-year-old. He had asthma. And he saw himself be like this amazing thing, and he thought he was gonna win the fight because he got the lightsaber and did this whole thing, and then the guy just said whoop and just punched him, and he just like went flying. It was so brilliant. It was such a brilliant.
Yes, the conversation over every little piece, though. Even when he talks about the lightsaber, like, shut up, no, it's not a lightsaber. And then when it turns out to be a lightsaber, it's just the way his responses are so Ryan Reynolds. Like, I could just imagine the time they spent together, to prepare for this.
Man.
But I have to say,
behind the scenes on this must be
crazy. Could you imagine
crazy
how brilliant? But I have to say this. So remember when I sent the message this morning and was like, oh my God. I don't know if I laughed or cried harder.
Yeah.
There were 3 times where I just broke in my soul. And if I talk too long and focused on it, I'll cry again. But when
it's just real. It had really good real moments.
When the mom is struggling, like with her son, that whole piece and that conversation at the bar, I went through as a mom here, like when my son was 12, my oldest, he knows he could talk about it today now. But when I tell y'all that is so real, and it was so palpable, it was so. It was just everything. So
it didn't have to be that good for the movie that it was in. They could have did this a soulless movie with just action and jokes.
But they did.
Yeah,
it probably would have gotten somewhat of the same response. Just like you said, Christy, that subtext of dealing with death and loss. And not dealing with it as an adult, not mourning.
Well, just the kids.
Let me set the scene. Let me set the scene for this. So for those of you, we're describing a scene where basically what the story's about is that Adam loses his father when he was like probably 2 or 3 years prior to him, probably like when he was 10. He loses his father, or a year and a half, I think that's what they said. So he loses his father, and him and his mother, who's played by Jennifer Garner, they're in the midst of grief. They're in the midst of this dad who was larger than life being gone. And like most kids, he is basically rebelling against his mother. And anytime, he's getting into fights all the time, he's getting suspended, he talks back to her, he doesn't show her love, she'll say, I love you, and he doesn't say anything back to her. And so there's a scene where Jennifer Garner goes into a bar and is talking to the bartender and basically saying how hard of a time she's having with her son, Adam. And coincidentally, grown Adam, who is Ryan Reynolds, is sitting across from her in the bar, and he hears her talking to the bartender, and she shares this tender moment of, he's just in grief and he's going to be okay. And it's going to be okay. And we're going through it. It's a hard time for me. And you can just see the pain in her eyes. And many parents go through this. They go through, just either it's divorce, either it's death, either it's just something terrible that happens. And Ryan Reynolds tells her, are you okay? And she's like, well, yeah. And he goes, no, she says, I'm going to be okay. And he goes, you need to let him know that you're not okay, because he thinks that you are okay. And then he just basically tells her probably everything. Because, when you're an adult, you look back at your life and you're like, man, I could have treated my parents better. I could have talked better. Like there are so many things that you want to redo when you become an adult, and you just go. And so this is his moment to kind of help her get over it. And I mean, that scene broke me too, Christy.
Listen, even just the fundamentals, like with or without the grief or the loss, a mother always feels like it when kids are that age, up into their teenage years, until they come out of that shit. Like we always are battling, they hate us. They had right now. I know my kids can't stand me now. Kingdom is about to be 21 in next month, so he's come out of that. Like, she's on my last nerve. I hate her, but I still got 2 more. Lord have mercy. So it's like I related to just the fundamentals of that right there. Like, again, without the grief, without the loss, and of course, when he was 12, they were 11 and 9, and it's like divorce. You know what I mean? So that was our trauma at that time. So I could totally understand, but it's like, even without all of that, we got over the whole trauma. It's you never really get over the trauma, but you get over the moment, the shock and the awe. It's like, damn, they still hate me. Like, what else do I need to do? And they don't necessarily.
And it isn't until you're like in your 20s and you go, why do I treat my parents like this?
Yeah.
Why don't I appreciate that? And you have these moments with your parents where you're like, thank you for giving me everything. Yeah. I see you. I understand your sacrifice.
Think about it. They didn't have to, like I said,
they didn't have to.
We were talking about Batman. I was like, this is where a director trusts the audience. Yes. And I think anytime you have a movie that decides not to go into a deeper layer of discussion and plot and character development, when there's an opportunity to do it, they are underestimating or, undercutting the audience and not believing that the audience has got the capacity to handle a love story and a lost story and an adventure story. Right. So they're like, let's just dumb this down to heroin, just inject it, so they just get all the explosions and the sci-fi and the CGI and the fight scenes, and then they decide to put this in it, which I think was done well enough to almost be standalone. Like, they could have made a movie.
It could have been just this.
Just him coming back and advising his younger self on how to deal with the loss of his father. Was a movie in and of itself.
That was, but
then you've got like this time story plot, and then you've got
action.
How do you resolve the timeline? And like you said, breaking the fourth wall and talking about, you guys have been watching too many movies. You think it's multiverse. What happens in the past? Because he's referencing Marvel, and he's like, "No, that's stupid. That's not how it works." And you're sitting there like, "Okay, we're going."
But essentially, it is. That's the beauty of it. It's like
It's this whole thing of him recognizing that the audience that is watching this movie has all seen Endgame and Infinity War, and they're all.
They did it for us.
This is how time travel works.
They did it for us.
And he's just going to say, we're going this way. And I'll just throw that out. That's stupid, even though that's where we're all from.
Right.
And so that inside joke within a joke within a joke plays itself out through the entire movie. And nobody in this movie, character or actors, are taking themselves too seriously.
No.
Mark Ruffalo gets a lot of great jokes. He's awkward. He's a professor.
He is.
Remember the punch? He threw a punch and hit his son. And he was like off balance.
It was weird.
And he does this weird jump. And it's like, that's how a physics professor would punch somebody.
Yes.
Like, that is how he wouldn't cock up and do. He did this weird jump, and it was like this weird thing where he hurt his hand, and it was like, okay, that was a good one. And it's like, yeah, Dad, whatever.
Hysterical.
So it's, everybody Zoe gets her jokes in, and like everybody is really enjoying it.
I love the part where Ryan Reynolds and Zoe, like, they get to, like, basically what the story is she has been murdered, and that's his main mission. That's what he comes there first, to figure out how to undo her death. So that's what he was initially doing. But so of course you haven't seen your wife in a couple years, and they finally get a moment together, and little Adam is like on one side of the table, they're on the other side, and they start kissing and touching, and he's like, I'm gonna take my eyes and ears and get out of here. Like, he's a total 12-year-old.
You can't have fun.
Like his eyes. But it was just like, you're right, that this movie could have been it's like if you take Steel Magnolias and you put it together with like a superhero movie. It could have been that Steel Magnolia movie by itself, where you're like, you're just crying.
Let me say, Ryan Reynolds, again, I've talked about his range of characters. He's been very scary in Amityville back in 2005, I think it was. But he has a great cry face. Like, he can put them tears in those little eyes, and he's
a real actor.
He really is.
He's a real actor.
He really is. He really is.
But let's acknowledge that he is a character actor. In most of his movies, he's playing Van Wilder. He's Van Wilder in Deadpool. He's Van Wilder here. He's Van Wilder even when he was doing the original Deadpool in the Wolverine movies when he was the Green Lantern. That's his shtick. But he does it so well, and he's so good at plugging that character style into any character that he plays in any movie that it works. And that's what a character actor does.
And
right?
we don't get mad at it. We don't get mad.
That's what we want. Like, if he ever got on the screen and was trying to do something beyond that, we feel like we're let down. Like, we're like, where's the
because it's like Van Wilder on drugs is Deadpool, and like this is like this is the one with the heart. Like, no, you're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
He's got his shtick and he knows how to deliver that.
Absolutely.
But I will agree, like this one, he actually surprised us with the heart, with the sentimentality, with the vulnerability. You know, and you could just see it. And I mean, it's good.
I've seen it in a couple of other things, like Safe House. I mean, he's a serious character, but he's a listen, Ryan Reynolds, no matter what he does, he's gonna write in his wise ass crack.
He's that shit talking asshole.
Yeah, he's a witty
Blade Trinity.
He's always so those are not like
gonna be funny.
But even in those, I've seen his heart before.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, you can't make a better point by saying that this could have been two different movies completely, and they both would have been heavy hitters. They both would have worked. I mean, again, combining both of those together, and plus you have this incredible, you know, the beauty of it. It was just beautiful. And the music, I love a great soundtrack. It was very much like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's that's a character in and of itself, you know, the music, the soundtrack. So it was just great. I just love it. I'm so happy.
Well, you know what is wonderful and what made me so excited, that this love affair between Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy, they announced that Sean Levy is going to be directing Deadpool 3. So he is officially, so
I'm ready.
Know it's gonna
gotta get my Denzel smile on that one.
Yes. Not the veneer smile.
That ain't it. You better stop it.
Look at
I got the Denzel point.
You better. She mad. Don't you talk about Denzel. He's Martin Luther King for us. He's like the Martin Luther King of actors.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? That made me so excited because they've got a thing. They've got a thing, and I don't think people realize. Like, I remember them posting a lot of pictures when they were making this movie, and no one knew what was coming. But you knew that they were friends. Like, you could tell these guys are really friends in real life, and this is a wonderful producer-director collaboration.
I love that.
And so, Deadpool. Like, I can't wait.
Awesome.
You already know. I
can't wait.
I just want Deadpool to come into like some of the other Marvel movies. Like I need him because we got Phase 4.
What are we waiting on?
Like, can we get Phase 4 and get?
It's all legal. Sony does not want to give up their franchise.
Sony won't.
They don't want to give. Fox doesn't want to give up theirs. They know there's billions to be made. So there's no offer that Disney can make.
We need to pick it because like Sony tried it. They tried it. They tried to take away Spider-Man, and the revolt, like it was, I mean, this past year, they were literally going to take away Spider-Man and like separate him, like Deadpool is separated. And you're right. It's all legal. It's all this like red tape craziness that we can't, that they won't get around or whatever. Cause they're like, this one's ours. And
this is very much like
great. We can dream.
Remember that there was a group that came out, I think it was called Men of Vision, and it had like Usher and Tyrese, and
it was like a collaboration.
There was like a collaboration, but the album, the song was a song that was a big hit. It was the Best Man soundtrack, and they all came from different labels. So nobody got to release the song. So there was no music video for it for a long time. And it was all the same type of red tape. Usher's people were like, well, we want this song to be released on our label, on Usher's album. Tyrese people was like, no, we want this on our label, on his new album that's coming out. And so it didn't come out. It never got released, even though it was a hit. And I think that's what we're seeing with, Fox and Sony and Disney. Nobody wants to. And I understand.
Right.
I understand.
Bottom line is they hate the fans. No, I'm just joking.
They want that money. They want that money. And what they see is they're like, okay, we're going to let y'all, if you can help build up the Spider-Verse by letting us loan you, our one
It's
version
alone.
of Spider-Man for these
It's
movies, so
alone.
we can go back and do another Venom movie, or do another Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse animated film. Then we're gonna do that and go our separate ways. And maybe that's the answer. Like, maybe they just kind of overlap for certain movies and not others.
To me,
until then,
if they all just partner for certain things, like agree to partner on some of these projects, when the fans are. Well, but here's the thing: you're making the check. If you really think about it,
the check would be bigger.
The check is going to be bigger. So it's like you're still essentially getting, your fair due. But God, I mean, excuse me, I said word. Lord, I mean, come on, how much
out of her character?
I know. How much more do you need? Like, damn, let's not be ridiculous. Like, give the people. We're the ones that are making it what it is anyway. So I always will believe that it's like, listen, give the fans give the people what they want.
Give the people what they want.
This movie is another prime example. And I have a few of them in my bag that is like, y'all did this for me. And I will love you for it forever. It'll always be at the top of the list. When I always tell people, like, I look at films like Coming to America 2. If you don't know the whole script, they didn't do that for you. They didn't do this movie for you. They did that for me.
Yeah,
like, I'm the one.
That was a nostalgia movie, a revisiting
total nostalgia
for all of us.
Movie.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. I don't care what nobody say. That means you can't quote nothing from the movie, from the first movie.
Well, let's not forget.
Okay,
this might be the formula for Ryan Reynolds when he's not doing a Deadpool movie, because Deadpool is kind of his character. He's not going to do anything else comic related. We know that, right?
Yeah.
So he just had this run with Free Guy that came out before, this was like maybe a few months ago. It was kind of in the theaters and then on Disney Plus, where there was a lot of pop culture references. It's a Disney movie. So they had, think about it, this is Disney. So they got free range to use all kinds of references from Star Wars, the Avengers, and Marvel, because they own all those properties. And you have the formula of this movie where you're able to throw those things in. That's kind of his specialty. Like, he can play these characters, these one-off characters in these one-off movies. He still gives us what we want. It doesn't cost him nothing to do it. They don't need to do all the legal stuff to make another Avengers or try to jawbone Deadpool into the Marvel universe and do stuff, but he does a really, really good job with that. And so I'm looking forward to his next project, whether it's Deadpool or not. I think it's going to be just as enjoyable. He's going to be just as funny, just as exciting. And so I've always been a fan, since Van Wilder. And so
me too.
Yeah. So you know what? He can't do anything wrong.
He can't. And Walker, you are in my heart. You are Walker. I wish. Oh,
we're watching you.
Good one, young man.
He is going to be on everything, and I just can't wait to see his next project. And this is the thing. I don't know this. I'm not breaking no news here, but this storyline has
not
potential.
Over.
Yeah, it has the potential. And this is a huge hit. It has the potential of being, a part 2. Like, this is not. They could kind of do this over and over, and I think they would do it. I think it would
be wise.
And I was watching all week, like they were doing their press junkets, and of course they had Ryan and Walker together, and they were just funny and just like, and he's just like a 12-year-old kid. And but you could tell he absolutely loves this kid. And so I can't imagine that they don't do it again. So it's magic. If you want to listen to the fans, Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, please do a part 2 to this movie, because it was so special. I recommend, if you have kids that are going through some sort of grief or trauma, if you have, kids that are having problems connecting with their parents, it's a great movie that speaks to all of these underlying topics. And you've got action, comedy, and it's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's not your typical little kid movie. I know he's not 12 in the movie. It really is for everybody. I mean, they've got a few words in there, but never anything too much, because Ryan even stops him before he was about to say, "Let's get it on, mother." And it's like, hey, wait a minute. That's not what or whatever the line is, but he was about to drop some bombs, and he's like, no, reel it in, son. No.
This kid is great. Oh, I know, it's so great. It's so great.
Log in, see that. I'm mad at Netflix. Are we talking about that?
We took an oath Christi she's gonna be picking the next thing that we review. We're not gonna tell you just yet. We're gonna surprise you guys. But ready. Christi gets one because, of course, we've been in charge. Me have been in charge up until now. I'm like, go watch Batman. Go
giving me the horror stuff. Listen, y'all talking about these movies, how this should have been in the theater or could have been in the theater. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But I'm so glad. Let me tell y'all, I feel like y'all are A1 when I can log in my jammies from home in the bed at any hour and I can watch movies. I loved it. I learned to love that through the pandemic. Yeah. I have, and we going back into crazy land again. We're edging that way. I'm happy logging in to see things. Now listen. Now y'all gonna have some home.
I'm listening.
Work. Am I revealing or we?
We're not revealing.
We're not revealing.
We're not revealing.
We're not.
It's my turn. Yeah.
No, you can reveal. Let's reveal.
Go
ahead. If we wait a minute, then we have to do it. Like,
no, we're gonna
not do it.
We're gonna keep the people around. We're gonna keep them around. Y'all gotta come back.
I'll let you reveal. Okay, we revealed, so we'll let you reveal.
Okay, so listen.
Go ahead.
I've got 3 things.
No, we got one thing.
Oh, just one?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think y'all gonna be able to do one.
We got 1 week. No, but we can watch it enough.
Is it the 4-season show or the 1 season, the limited series? Which one? I know which one y'all want to do.
Okay, give us the choice of the 2, and we'll debate it. You're gonna see how these are our like, if you guys wonder what our pre-production is like, this is exactly how we do it. We are so this is organic. We're organic. We want to do things that all 3 of us like, and we want to talk about, obviously we talk about shows, we review them, we're entertained, but we also want to talk about things that really spark a conversation. So we give us 2 things to choose from, and we'll take a vote. They're going to get the behind the scenes production meeting right now. Go ahead. Okay,
so go
ahead, Christi.
My very first thing is a limited series. It is on HBO Max, and it is called Station 11. I am obsessed with Station 11. Station 11, y'all, if you haven't seen it, you sleeping, you missing out. I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't know why you are here. Again, and I'm obsessed with Nabhan Rizwan. He is the character Frank in this show, and don't
give us too much. Don't give us too much.
I love him.
So we love
Station 11 is one.
Station 11 is option 1.
Station 11 is option 1. And then the other, and that's on HBO Max. The other one is on Hulu, and I am stupid, crazy, addicted, and obsessed, and convinced that The Handmaid's Tale is one of the greatest gifts that we could have ever had. It is a precursor. It is our life. We're on our way to Gilead. I often say that. Y'all heard me say that on a couple of shows where, oh Lord, we on our way to Gilead.
I'm right there with you, girl.
So listen, I have the book. The book is sitting right here. That's it.
So Station 11
and The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale.
So we need
do we choose here?
We can choose here. We can choose here.
Y'all need to know the facts.
We'll be obligated. Okay.
One of them is 4 seasons. You got 4 seasons.
I've watched some of The Handmaid's Tale. It's very hard for me to watch, to just see, because I'm like you said, it's one of those things where this is like I feel like this is real life. We're only a few steps away from this kind of stuff happening. Yeah. So for me, it just makes me mad. It makes me emotional, the whole thing. So I haven't. But I could binge. All I know is we can binge, and we could probably have a lot of topics that we can talk about, so it's not like we have to watch all 4 seasons to dive deep on this show. There's so many things that this show covers. And Station 11, you've been telling me about this for weeks, so I'm down to do either one. Hilton,
I'm up on both of them. I'm 100%. So I'm this isn't homework for me. This extra credit I think
there's
I just
so
got
I'm the only one.
You're the only one that's got work to do.
You know me. I watch I've got long plane trips this week, so I can watch it. Trust me. I was sitting next to the girl from I was actually sitting next to her. Yes, we sat next to each other on a flight this past weekend, so I'm very leaning towards Handmaid's Tale.
But I have to throw this out here. There is so much. It's a very dense series. Yeah. So if we did The Handmaid's Tale, we would probably need to get.
Yeah, we do.
We'd either need a 2-parter or a really structured conversation, because it's long. It's really detailed. I mean, it goes into it. Now,
like we
Station
need to
11,
take it by steps, like
season by season.
Yeah, layers.
Or talk to it season by season. But Station 11 was such a surprise hit, and I want to talk about it. I want to pre-up the conversation that I just want people to see Station 11 because this is something, and here's why. Station 11 is one of those shows that you see on the block. They didn't do a very good job promoting it.
They didn't promote it, right?
No and you see it because HBO Max is like Netflix. It kind of suggests stuff, and you may click it or you may not. And this one doesn't grab you in that first 30 minutes, like those Ryan Reynolds movies. Like the first 5 minutes, you're in it. It builds up real slow, and by the time you get to like the middle of episode 2, you're just like, my week is locked. This is what I'm watching. I'm ordering out Grubhub. You own me. It's just so amazing. So I want to talk about that just because
it grabbed
I don't think there's enough people talking about it. I think
there's
a lot of conversations.
I watched it in 3 days.
Okay. Well, look, we're going to cover both. We're going to cover both before we end up ending, because I feel like Handmaid's Tale, like you said, it is so layered. It deserves so many things.
It's ongoing.
It deserves it deserves a 2-parter. So let's go Station 11. We'll watch that. We're going to review that next week. And then it gives me more time to watch Handmaid's Tale. Because I've done the first season, but it's like you said, there's 3 other seasons, and it's
you'll get through Station 11.
And we want you to we don't want you to get depressed because you watch too much of Handmaid's Tale.
I will be in the corner crying.
I know. Please call me. Call me. I'll talk you off the lid.
We need counseling. We need therapy.
Like it's too, but that's the thing. Like it's too real. Like it's like, man, we're only a few steps away from that. And we got to be careful. That's why I say it's not about being political. It's about being responsible. Yeah. You have got to exercise your right to vote.
Wake up,
people. People died for us to have this right. Yeah. So why we don't take it seriously, I will never know. But guys, we're at the end of the show. What? This was great. Already, I know.
We've been on 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. Isn't that right? Christi and I have been on for 5 minutes.
I don't know where. I don't know what happened.
He's in the multiverse.
It's in the multiverse. It's the multiverse.
Time travel. He's been time traveling.
The timekeeper.
Time variance authority.
Yeah. Oh man.
I love being here with you guys.
We've been going more than an hour. It's crazy. I know when we start talking, it's just magic, guys.
And the people don't know that we talk 30 minutes before the show. So it's like we just go.
Y'all gone. We still stay on.
We gotta
look. Karen got to shoo us off. She's like, okay, all
right. One day we're gonna do like a 2-hour show because I think that like we cannot I love doing this show with you guys, and it's just because it's just so much exchange and engagement, and it's just really good conversation. So I know if we love talking to each other, I hope that is translating to you guys love watching us, talk about all these things. And we are, before season 1 is up, we are going to do a live show. So we will do one where you guys can interact with us as well. So we got a lot of things planned on the BOP. But until then, thank you for watching the BOP, the BLERD official podcast. We love you. We mean it. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys. Stay good.